Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land. Welcome back to Diego Knows. I, of course, am Diego. And today we're going to continue talking about Thelma and Louise. That's right, Thelma and Louise, that wonderful chick flick from 1991, okay? This is my chick flick destruction segment here. And what I do here is I'm going to rip apart your chick flicks, okay? I am going to destroy them. I'm going to give you a straight man's point of view. That's what I do here, okay? I know bullshit. I'm not one of your gay friends. I'm not one of your girlfriends. Okay, I'm going to tell you honest to God what a straight guy would think about these movies, all right? My guy's opinion, because let's face it, most guys did not watch this shit unless they were watching it with you. Am I correct? Okay. So that's what I'm going to do here, okay? Now, I got to be honest here. I've already admitted this, okay? But I've watched a lot of movies. I have my own genre that I like. I like superhero movies, action movies, martial arts movies, blow things up. I was in the military, so I love military movies, things like that, okay? But having said that, I've watched a few chick flicks, okay? Most of them were shit. They were. Some of them were pretty good. And I decided that this movie here, the reason I'm taking so long reviewing it is because, well, I've never seen it before. I've never seen this movie before. Okay? This movie's 32 years old and I've never seen it before. Of course, I've heard about it. Okay, lots of girls I know told me about it. They didn't like ruin the ending or nothing like that, okay? But they told me they liked it. They told me what they thought about it. It's been referenced so many times in pop culture and other things, So this is definitely like a chick flick movie icon, okay? This is like the movie that a lot of women love. This is the kind of movie that women watch over and over again, okay? But I never saw it myself, okay? I do know about it, though, obviously. I know it's been around. I know who the actors are. I know this launched Brad Pitt's career, okay? I know who Gina Davis is. I've seen her in other movies. I know who Susan Sarandon is. I know who all these characters are, okay? But I've never actually seen the movie myself. I know it's won a lot of awards. I know it's nominated. I know Gina Davis and Susan Sarandon were both nominated for Best Actress for the same movie. That's weird. That never happens. It happens very rarely in Hollywood. That ever happens. But this is back when the Academy Awards meant something. Okay. Yeah, I've heard of it. It's been around, but I've never gotten around to see it. And there's two reasons why I never saw it. Okay. Number one, because I have a penis. And number two, because I'm not gay. Okay. That's the truth. I had no reason to see it. I've had no desire to see it. But after I reviewed all my Sex and the City episodes, after I did all that, I reviewed every episode of Sex and the City, the movies, even the new piece of shit TV show, and just like crap. After I reviewed all that stuff, I decided I kind of had some fun with it. I had fun ripping apart the chick flick genre, if you will. And so I thought I would start off easy, with Romeo and Juliet, because let's face it, that's ground zero right there. Okay, and then I went off to A League of Their Own because I like sports, and I remember seeing this movie back in the day and I liked it. This was not a movie that I hated. Okay, I thought it was a good movie. I remember where I was in my life when that movie came out and stuff, so I remembered. And I was a fan of Madonna's music and stuff like that. So there's that. And then because that got me thinking about Gina Davis. I'm like, well, you know what? Thelma and Louise. I've never seen that movie, and that's up there with like the best chick flick movies ever made. Okay, so I figured it was time. It was time to watch that. So I decided to watch it, and now I can officially say I have finished watching Thelma and Louise. It only took me 31 years, but I finished watching Thelma and Louise. Now, I'm not going to get to the ending yet until I get there. Okay, right now I'm still in the middle of my review of the actual movie itself. I'm still halfway. We're halfway into the movie right now in this review. So I'm going to start off where I left off last time and just keep moving forward, and eventually I will get to the ending. Okay, so just to let you know, I'm sorry, I'm a little sick right now. That's why I haven't posted in a while. Okay, I'm still trying to get over it. Okay, but just so you know that I do not censor myself here, and I'm going to talk the way I would talk to a guy. Okay, so how's that for equality? I'm going to talk to you out there the way I would talk to a dude who about this movie. Okay, like that would ever happen in real life. That's what I'm going to do. All right. So let me give you a straight man's point of view. So let's begin. Okay, the real question is here: can you handle it? Can you handle a straight man's point of view? I will not censor myself. So if you're easily offended, get the fuck out right now. I will not censor myself for you. I'm going to tell you the truth, okay? Some of it you might like, some of it you might not like. Hey, better to know than not know, okay? All right, so here we are. So where I left off last time is Thelma. Thelma, that's Gina Davis. She was boning Brad Pitt. His name's JD. Okay, after he turned her on by showing her how he holds up a convenience store when he robs it, because that's what he does for a living. Okay, right now he's panhandling, he's fucking hitchhiking and shit. Anyway, she fucks him. in the hotel room. And meanwhile, Louise, Susan Sarandon, she fucks her boyfriend in another hotel room. He gives her the money. Susan Sarandon, Louise gives Gina Davis, Thelma, the money to guard it. It's $6,700. It's their life savings. Now, I originally thought this movie took place like in the 60s or 70s because that's what it said in Wikipedia. But the more I'm watching it, the more I'm like, oh, no, it's got to be the 70s. No, it's got to be the late 70s. No, this is starting to sound like the 80s here. It's hard to tell because of the fashion. I mean, they're all country people, so they're all wearing jeans, Levi's jeans and cowboy boots and shit and cowboy hats. But also, the songs that they're listening to in the car are oldies. They're from the 60s. And I know this ain't the 60s. And everyone's using a payphone, so it's hard. It's hard to figure it out. Later on, I will realize that this is the 80s. Okay, in a scene later on that happens, that's when they'll be like, okay, this is the 80s. All right, now I get it. Okay, but in the Wikipedia, it said it was like 60s or 70s. So who fucking knows? It's timeless, right? Okay. So this is going on here, and so they have sex with her boyfriend. She has sex with Brad Pitt, whatever. They have messy sex, whatever. The next day, what do you call it? Louise, she goes to the diner, in the hotel diner, and she breaks up with her boyfriend Jimmy, played by Michael Madison. Okay, he lets her keep the engagement ring. He proposed to her last night. He lets her keep the engagement ring. I don't know why, but she gets rid of him. Now, I think that maybe I don't think she really loved him the way that she needed to love him, but. Because he never factors in at all for the rest of the movie. Okay, so he kind of takes the breakup not that hard. He takes like, okay, I'll be seeing you. Are you sure? That kind of thing. But he doesn't really like bust down and start crying or anything like that. So my guess is that he really didn't care that much about her, but he wanted to, and I don't think she really cared that much about him, but she wanted to. Okay, I think this guy was the only really thing that was keeping her around. I think in her hometown in Arkansas, where they're from, where her and Thelma are from, was her relationship with this guy. And her job, I mean, she was a waitress, okay? She was one of like 5 or 6 waitresses at a diner. So she was a nobody, okay? Going nowhere, doing nothing important with her life, okay? So she really had nothing keeping her, okay? Her relationship wasn't enough for her to stay with him. I mean, this guy came across as nice, but once he loses his temper, he starts trashing things. He starts throwing furniture around, losing his temper like that. We all know guys like this, and they're not the healthiest people to be in a relationship with. All right, and I think she understands that maybe this is the best she can do. Okay, because she's not getting younger. I mean, she was 44. I don't know. We don't know how old Louise is, but she's 44 when she filmed this movie. Okay, so I'm guessing Michael Madison was in his mid to late 30s. That's what he looks like to me here. So I'm guessing that maybe she doesn't feel she can do any better, and maybe she's already had enough, if you know what I mean. Okay, so I'm guessing like this isn't enough. This relationship isn't enough to keep her in town. She's got to leave. She's got to go change her life somehow. All right, and also she doesn't have any kids. She does not have any kids. All right, so there's really nothing keeping her around. All she really has is her friendship with Thelma, and that's it. All right. Meanwhile, so that's going on. That's what she's thinking. There's a scene where you can tell the look on her face when he walks away. Like she acted all nonchalant about it, the breakup. Like it didn't really matter to her. When he walked away. But after he walks away, you can see like she's kind of devastated. Like there's this inner turmoil going on inside of her. And I'll give a kudos to Susan Sarandon. She acted her way. She acted the fuck out of this fucking movie. She really did. A lot of what Susan Sarandon's character, Louise, is going through is not spoken. It's not said. You have to look at her to see what she's really going through. This isn't the only scene that does it. There's many scenes in this movie where the camera just focuses on Susan Sarandon, on Louise, in silence. Just her. Like that, There's a lot of scenes in this movie where they do that, okay? So you can tell there's something going on inside of her, but she's not speaking it out loud for the audience. The audience has to figure it out himself, and it's pretty obvious what she's thinking, okay? She's thinking the worst. Okay, it's pretty obvious. The look on her face, she's thinking the worst. Okay, she says goodbye to him. I'll see you around. Okay, but you can tell the look on her face. And they have a really long kiss that even the waitresses notice. Okay, they kiss each other over the counter, very long, longer than normal. Okay, and you can tell the look on her face that she's never going to see him again. This is it. She will never see him again. He's gone now, forever. And even though it wasn't said out loud, you can tell that she's already agreed to that in her heart, in her mind. She knows that she'll never see him again. That's over. He's gone. Whatever she's got in front of her will not include him in it. Okay? And then all of a sudden Thelma shows up. Thelma's all giddy, okay? She's acting like me when I lost my virginity. Okay, I was high for like 3 fucking days, and it was a natural high. Okay, I remember when I lost my virginity, I was all jumpy and giddy, and I was just like all full of energy and excited and shit, because that's what it's like for a guy when he gets his cherry popped. Okay, sorry, it's true. It's true. Well, that's how she's acting now. So yeah, obviously she fucking had some great sex the night before, and she's all excited. I said, "Do you see anything different about me? You see anything different?" And she's like, "What?" And then she shows off her hickey that Brad Pitt gave her. So she's all excited. I guess this is the first time she ever had an orgasm. She's been married to Daryl, her piece of shit asshole, chauvinistic, sexist, fucking inconsiderate, selfish husband. She's been married to him since fucking high school. Okay, now she's like, we don't know how old Thelma is, but I know Gina Davis was 35 when she filmed this movie. So she's been with him, and apparently she's only been with him until last night. Okay. And she's all excited. She's like, "Oh my God, it was incredible." He's like, "Oh, you finally got laid properly." So apparently, Thelma had never had an orgasm before until she fucked Brad Pitt, which I kind of find hard to believe. Just like I find hard to believe that she had never slept with anyone else other than her husband. I didn't believe that for a fucking second. No fucking way. Even when she tells that to Brad Pitt, JD, that's his character's name. When she tells that to JD, I didn't believe it then. I still don't believe it. Okay, and I don't think JD believed it either. I think he was just playing along with it because he realized that she wanted him to think good of her. Okay, he didn't want her to see her as a slut. Okay, as the kind of woman that fucks around on her husband. Okay, he didn't want her to see her that way. Okay, and he went along with it because he knew that this girl liked him, was attracted to him, so he played along with it. Okay, he even did the whole "yeah, your husband's an asshole" type thing because that's basically what she was saying already. Okay, so that's going on, and she finally had an orgasm. She's like, "Oh my God, I had no idea it was this good." Well, of course it's good, or else we wouldn't do it. So anyway, so that's going on, okay, and she's all excited, and everything, all giddy. And the whole time I'm watching this scene, I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, you girls just murdered someone 2 days ago. Okay, you just got raped 2 days ago. And now you're acting like that was fucking 20 years ago. And this is something totally new is going on right now. And no. And I'm sorry, now I've said this in my other videos, but I'll say it again here real quickly. Okay, if I was in these women's situation, if I was one of them, if I was on the run from the law, if I knew the cops were chasing me because I just killed somebody, hey, self-defense, call it what it is. Maybe it was justified, although I don't think it was. Okay, but whatever. Okay, my concerns would not be on getting laid, on picking up girls off the highway and fucking them. All right, and then bragging to my best friend about it. That would not be my concern. My concern would be getting some fucking money and getting the fuck out of the country. That would be my concern if I was trying to avoid getting captured. If I didn't want to turn myself in. Okay, like these women are. They don't want to turn themselves in. Okay, so yeah, I wouldn't be worried about fucking getting laid and how fucking hot it is and all that kind of shit. No. That wouldn't be my concern, but apparently that's their concern. Well, that's Thelma's concern. Okay, now all of a sudden Louise puts two and two together and she realizes, oh my God, where's JD now? And she says, oh, he's in the room taking a shower. She's like, you left him alone there with the money? Her life savings, her $6,700. She gave it to Louise for safekeeping. And now that money is upstairs in their room. And JD's up there with it. Okay. So Louise about shits herself. And they get up, they jump up and run towards their hotel room. They run out of that fucking diner. They get to the hotel room, all right? They get back in the room, and of course, the money is gone. Okay, they got rolled. All right, the envelope that had the money is empty. Okay, so JD stole the money. Brad Pitt stole their money. Okay, he took the money and fucking and bailed out. All right, Louise just fucking gets on her knees and starts crying. She breaks down. Okay, and Thelma apologizes. And she feels sorry for herself. She's like, I've never been lucky. Not one time. Not one goddamn time. That's what Thelma says. Okay, well, no, bitch. No. Okay? Thelma's over here screaming like, how come I can never get lucky with men? How come every time I get a guy, he ends up being an asshole? Okay? No, Thelma. You know why? Because you pick assholes. Okay? Now, maybe your husband didn't start off as an asshole. Okay, but remember, you were 14 when you first met him. Okay, but he became one, and you stayed with him. Why? Okay, This guy, okay, he might have been sexy and charming and all that shit, but let's face it, okay? This guy even fucking told you he robs people. That's what he does for a living. He's on parole. He's hiding from his parole officer. Okay? He robs people. He even showed you how he did it. Why in the fuck would you think about leaving $6,700 in the room with a guy like that? Regardless of how good he is in bed. Why would you do that? This is your fault, Thelma. This is your fault and it's Louise's fault. Why would you put the money with Thelma? Why didn't you guard it yourself? At least that way you'll know where it is, right? Keep it with you. Okay, you already know that Jimmy's not going to steal your money because he could have stolen it and he didn't. So you see what I mean? They're all stupid here. They're all being stupid here. I'm sorry, ladies. I know you love Thelma and Louise a lot, okay? And they're starting to grow on me now. I understand their circumstance. I understand what they're thinking and why they're thinking it. But they're not the smartest women in the world. They're not. They're not very smart at all. Okay? They're not very smart. Okay? And that's not a knock on women. It's just a knock on these two women. Okay? They're not very smart at all. Okay. So that's going on. Okay. Finally, Louise breaks down crying, and she says, "It's not okay. None of this is okay." Okay? What are we going to do for money? What are we going to do for gas? Thelma tells her, "Don't worry about it. Don't worry. Let's get out of here. Come on. Move." Okay? So they get out. Okay? They get back in their car, and they drive away. Okay? Now the next scene that we see is it's raining outside. It's back in Arkansas, and they go to Thelma's house. Okay, all right, and they go to Thelma's house. All the cops, the FBI, they're all there, and they knock on Daryl's door. Daryl, that's Thelma's husband. He's there. He didn't realize that his wife left him. You know, he didn't realize that they were in trouble or anything like that until recently. He just found out. So they show up. The cops show up at his house. Hal is there. That's Harvey Keitel's character. He's this nice cop that's chasing these women down, trying to catch them. All right, and he's aided by the FBI. Okay, because these women are already past state lines. Okay, so they're going to monitor all the phone calls. They're going to tap the phone. Okay, and they're going to set up a station there so they can maybe trace the call in case these women call him. All right, they're going to monitor phone calls. And Hal asked Daryl if he's close with his wife. You know, I have to ask you this. I'm sorry, I don't mean to imply anything, but I need to know: are you close with your wife? And he says it that way too. You know, and Daryl's like, "Well, as close as I can be to a nutcase like her." Like that. So he's basically, he's talking shit about his own wife, okay? He's talking shit about his own wife to these guys, all right? Like I said, Daryl has no redeemable qualities at all. He's presented to us as an asshole, as a chauvinist, as a sexist, as he doesn't give a shit about his wife. He only gives a shit about himself. His license plate says the number one. He thinks he's number one. He likes to drink beer and watch football. Okay, and he doesn't really give a shit about anyone else. You know, so he's not the nicest guy in the world. Okay, and I can understand Thelma being frustrated with this guy, but why would she be married to him for this long? It makes no sense to me. Okay, if this was the '60s, I might be able to believe it, but I'm starting to think it's more like the '70s or '80s. And, in the 70s or 80s, okay, ladies, okay, women did not put up with this shit. Okay, they did not. That was like the beginning of the fucking divorce rates going through the fucking roof, okay? It was actually started in the 70s. In the 80s, it really took off, especially when Reagan signed no-fault divorce in the 80s, okay? Basically, it was better to get divorced than it was to stay married. Okay, and the divorce rates just fucking skyrocketed around the late 70s and the early 80s. And that's which I think is around the time that this movie's taking place, okay? So no, your typical woman would not stay with a guy like this. She would have moved on already. Okay, so Daryl makes fun of his wife, like I said, okay? They tell him to be nice to her if she calls, okay? Because the FBI, I guess, says women like that shit. And Daryl sarcastically agrees. Yeah, be nice to them. Yeah, right. Like that, like a cartoon character. Not realistic at all, okay? I can understand the guy being an asshole, but you don't have to turn him into into Snidely Whiplash. You don't have to turn him into a cartoon villain, all right? With his twirling mustache and shit, because that's how he's acting. That's the way Christopher McDonald is playing the character of Daryl. He's acting it that way. And I'm like, dude, you should have, really, Scott should have told you to kind of hold back on that, kind of tame that down a little bit, okay? Because you're coming across as a fucking sitcom character, not as a fucking believable guy who's acting all macho, but is actually worried about what his wife did, not believing that at all. Okay, once again, the men are portrayed like assholes. Now, so far, the only men that we've met in this movie we've met Daryl, the husband. I already told you about him, piece of shit. We met Harlan, the rapist. Okay, yeah, he's an ass. He's dead now. Okay, after he raped Thelma. Okay, and talked shit to Louise. Okay, we met. There was some some fuel truck driver that was fucking honking his horn at the girls and fucking going like that, and say, "Come over here, bitch, come suck my cock." He was doing that. Okay, yeah, we met him. We don't know his name yet. Okay, so that's what, 4. Okay, we met Harvey Keitel's character, Hal, the cop. He's actually a nice guy. He cares about these girls. He's trying to figure out what's going on here, what the real story is. He doesn't believe that these women would just out of nowhere become, killers. Something must have happened, and maybe it was an accident. He's open to the possibility that none of this was on purpose, that it was just an accident, but it kind of spiraled out of control. Okay, and that's it. And we met Brad Pitt, JD, who is charming, nice, and he's good in bed, but he's also a thief. And he said he was a thief. He never pretended he wasn't. Okay, and he stole all their money, so now he's a piece of shit asshole. Okay, these are the only men we've met in this movie. One decent guy out of 5. What is this movie telling you about men, ladies? Okay, if you hate men, this is your movie. All right, like I said, this movie could have been written in 2021. All right, so that's going on. Thelma pulls over in front of a market. Okay, there's like some farmer's market out there in the middle of the desert. Okay, and this is a very good scene, by the way. And she leaves Louise in the car, and she goes inside the market. Okay, she goes inside the store, and meanwhile, Louise is sitting there in shock that they lost all the money. Okay, depressed, not knowing what she's gonna do. She's just sitting there in the passenger seat, and she stares and she looks over across from her. She can tell like someone's looking at her, and she looks over, and there's like a diner there, and there's an old lady in that diner, a fat old lady who looks extremely, extremely depressed. And this fat old lady is looking straight at Louise, making eye contact with Louise. And Louise looks at this old lady, and she makes eye contact back. And there's this unspoken communication between the two women. Like she knows, like Louise knows that this is the end. This is the end. It's not going to get better from here. Any chance she had of having a better life was in the past. That time is coming and it's gone. We don't know what Louise was like in her past. We don't know everything she's been through or anything like that. But we do know that she's been struggling for most of her life. And she doesn't really want to struggle anymore. And she looks over at I think maybe Louise is in her subconscious. She's thinking what do I got to live for? What do I got in my life that's worth living for? Not my boyfriend. What do I got in my life that's worth living for? And she looks over and this woman, this old lady, this depressed woman, she sees herself. That's your future, Louise. That right there. Your own future self is looking right at you, telling you where you're going to end up. Okay? Whatever choices you could have made to better yourself, you didn't make those choices. You made different choices. You ended up somewhere where you not necessarily wanted to be. You didn't realize the choice you made, you didn't realize they were going to take you to places you didn't want to go. And you can see that. And all this is done without anyone saying anything. This is all silent. It's a silent communication between two women. And at that moment, Louise decides, she looks at herself in the rearview mirror, and she decides to put some lipstick on. Oh my God, I look like shit, And she takes out the lipstick, and then she looks at herself, and she's just like, why? Why am I trying to be pretty right now? And she fucking throws the lipstick away, like, fuck this. What's the point? What's the point of making myself beautiful? Haven't I made myself beautiful my whole fucking life? And where did it get me? It got me here. Right here. So what the fuck am I doing this for? These are not healthy thoughts. Folks, whenever you feel this way, you have to talk to somebody. And not someone like Thelma either. You need to talk to someone who gives a shit about you. because you have no idea. You have no idea the value that you have to other people until until they're gone. You know, this whole thing about suffering in silence, it's not healthy. It's not a good way to go. You have to let people know. You'd be surprised when people give a shit about you if you just tell them that you need help. It's unbelievable. But these women there's one thing these women both have is pride. They have a lot of pride. Okay. And there's no way they would ever ask for help. It's like they're their own worst enemies. Okay. But she sees it there. And then this whole scene is broken by Thelma. Thelma comes running out of the store, the market, and she's screaming at Thelma, "Drive, Louise, drive!" Okay, she runs over there. So Louise gets in the driver's seat. Thelma jumps into the fucking passenger seat, and they fucking haul ass out of there. All right? Yes, and yes, Thelma did do that. Okay, she screamed Louise's name out loud in front of the store that she just robbed. Okay, how fucking stupid can you be? you know, if there's any doubt as to who robbed this store, there's not anymore. All right, so that goes on here. So now they're speeding away from the store. Okay, Thelma robbed the store. She did it the way that JD taught her how to do it in the hotel room, to be the gentleman thief, be nice about it, point the gun at everyone, make a few jokes, but at the same time, let them all know that you will fucking shoot them if they don't do what you say, that kind of thing, Okay, well, it turns out that she was videotaped. The store had a videotape. This was the scene that ticked me off to like, okay, there's no way this can be the 60s or 70s. Okay, this got to be the 80s. If you got a security camera with a videotape, it's got to be the 80s. This movie's taking place in the 80s. Okay, because everything else in the movie was kind of old school, like 70s or 60s. But then until I saw this scene, then I'm like, okay, so maybe this is the 80s. This has got to be the 80s now. Okay, because remember, even the songs that they're listening to in the car are old. They're from the 60s. Okay, so yeah, so it's definitely the 80s. Okay, it was videotaped. So the FBI, the cops, and Daryl, they're all watching the videotape footage of Thelma robbing the store. And it's actually kind of funny. She makes some jokes in there while she's doing it, And then she even, after she takes all the money out of the register, she actually tells the clerk there to give her a bottle of Wild Turkey, because that's Thelma's drink, Wild Turkey. And let me tell you something, okay? I've had Wild Turkey before, back when I used to drink. That shit will put some fucking hair in your ass, all right? So and she drinks it neat with a Coke back, all right? So, ladies, if you ever had Wild Turkey, holy shit, dude, that shit will fuck you up. It's disgusting. It's like drinking diesel fuel. Ooh. But oh well. All right. So Louise is speeding down the highway. They got a big dust trail behind them. The whole movie, they've got this big dust trail behind them because they're going like 110 miles an hour. Okay. And they are on this adrenaline high. Okay. They just robbed a store and they're high on, oh my God, did we just do that? I can't believe we just did that. That kind of thing, So they're fucking high on life right now. Okay. Screaming, they're screaming and they're drinking. Their whiskey, the little bottles of whiskey, the hotel bottles of Wild Turkey, they're drinking those while they're driving. They're drunk throughout the whole movie, by the way. Okay, this isn't the only time they get drunk while they're driving. They're drunk driving throughout the entire fucking movie. Okay? And then the gasoline truck comes by again. All right? It's a fuel truck, and the fuel truck offers to let them pass. Okay? And he flicks his tongue at them. When they're passing them by, he flicks his tongue at them, like I told you before. He's doing that shit to them, and the girls are just disgusted, and he's saying all this shit like, yeah, bitches, come over here, suck my big cock. Yeah, right now. Yeah, because that's how guys act in real life, okay? Yeah, okay, and they're grossed out by this guy. Of course they are, okay? And the next scene that we have, Jimmy gets home in the rain. Jimmy, that's the musician. That's Louise's boyfriend. He gets home. He already saw them in Oklahoma, so he just got home back to Arkansas now. He gets home, and the cops are there waiting for him. Okay, and they start asking him some questions. Okay, so that's going on. Later on, the girls stop at a gas station. There's this old man that works there. Very old man. He looks like he's in his 70s or 80s. Louise befriends the old man at the gas station. Okay, and I don't think she has any money to pay him, or I don't know what, but for some reason, she takes off her earrings and her necklace, and she gives it to the old man. Okay, she starts looking more butch. Now, in the beginning of the movie, the women were very feminine. Okay, Louise and Thelma both looked. They had their hair down. They looked like women. Louise had the fucking bandana around her head, with the sunglasses on, the lipstick, and Thelma had the fucking dress on with the jean jacket over it. That look is gone now. Okay, they're wearing jeans. They're wearing cutoffs. They're wearing sleeveless t-shirts. Okay, and Thelma's got her hair tied back, and so does Louise. Louise has her hair tied up too. Okay, so they're getting more butch. The women are turning more butchy. So she gets rid of her jewelry and gives this to the old man. She asks Thelma to call Daryl back at home to find out if he knows anything. In other words, if the cops have already gotten to him, and told him what they did and all that kind of stuff, all right? Because she thinks maybe the phone is tapped, which is a good thing to think, all right? She explains that they're wanted for murder and armed robbery, and they're not going to be able to plead self-defense, okay? Because it wasn't self-defense, which is true. Okay, when the guy was raping Thelma, Louise put the gun to his head. He quit. Thelma got away and went to go get the car, and then they were about to leave. They were going to leave him there. Okay, but instead, he decided to talk shit to them while they were walking away. That made Louise turn around and say, "What'd you say to me? Huh?" That kind of thing. And then he told her, "Suck my dick." Okay, and then she shot him when he said that. Okay, so they could have left him there. They could have gone to the cops. Okay, but Louise, for some reason, we'll find out later why. For some reason, she decided she was not going to let this guy fucking insult her like that, disrespect her that way. So he needed to die. Okay, like I said, it wasn't self-defense. Okay, she shot him out of anger. Okay, I think she wasn't just shooting him; she was shooting all men in general. Okay, men who she's given so much of herself to, and they've all let her down. Well, in this fucking universe, yeah, of course they will. So far, every guy we've met is a fucking piece of shit asshole, except for one. Okay, so yeah, of course, in this universe, all men are pieces of shit. But in real life, they're not, and they don't deserve to fucking die. Okay, every guy acts like an asshole every once in a while and feels bad about it, just like you women do too. Okay, it doesn't mean you deserve to die. All right. Now, this guy was a rapist. This guy was an asshole. Did he deserve to die? Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, but not by her. Okay, he needed to go to jail. Okay, and get some comeuppance, if you know what I mean. All right, that's what should have happened. They should have gone to the cops. They didn't do that. Instead, she blew him away, and now they're on the run. So Louise realized she cannot justify the armed robbery, okay? Because Thelma did rob the store, okay? So there's no way they can claim that self-defense. So they're fucked either way, okay? They're going to get charged with attempted murder and armed robbery. With murder and armed robbery, okay? When they back out of the gas station, they almost hit a biker, okay? Like they came this close to fucking hitting him with the car because they're not paying attention. This is just another way for the filmmaker to let you know that they don't give a shit about anybody else right now. They're only giving a shit about themselves. What they're going to do, what's going on with them. Okay, that's the most important thing. Fuck everybody else, okay? They've already crossed over into that realm in their mind, and that's where they're going, okay? That's what the movie's trying to tell you, okay? And also, you do notice that when you look at the clouds in this scene, because they're out in the middle of the desert, the clouds are dark in the far end, which means there's a storm back there that's heading their way. Another form of foreshadowing. This movie was very well directed. It really was. Very well directed. Really, Scott did a great job. Okay, they're foreshadowing that the dark times are coming. Okay, you can see it in the women. They're starting to change how they look, how they talk, how they act is starting to change, okay? As the story progresses, their options get smaller and smaller. The people that are close to them start disappearing, and everything starts getting down to like a circular moment, a singular moment. You can tell that everything's leading towards this conclusion that's coming, and it's on its way, and they can't stop it. They don't want to stop it. For whatever reason, they want to keep going, okay? Because they're not psychologically fit, okay? All right, so that's going to end this part of the review, part 5 of Thelma and Louise. I'll be back very shortly with part 6 of Thelma and Louise. Thank you for watching this long, and I will see you soon on the next one. Bye.